Alright, so I just wanted to finish this article from Rabbi Fisher, because I have a lot of issues with what he's saying here. Just pointing out the hypocrisy of the RCA and the Rabbanut. But it's really more the RCA than the Rabbanut, although it's a little bit the Rabbanut, a little bit of both. So like he's talking about, rabbis who do conversions for money, and many of those who are recognized by the Rabbanut or affiliated with the RCA do this. And there's absolutely no reason, after doing a totally kosher conversion with someone who's totally ready, to just declare that the conversion done is kosher if it's done in a kosher way. We're not talking about people who do non-kosher conversions, and even you want to discuss issues about people who are not really observant. Those people probably not going to care anyway. But they will learn that such conversions conducted by outliers are tantamount to someone presenting as a naturalized American citizen with paperwork of citizen, conferred by a disbarred judge or by a judge who never sat on the proper federal bench that empowers her to rule on citizenship applications under Title 8 U.S. Code. I don't know why he always uses her here. I know that's kind of weird. So then how is the prospective convert to know, even as among quote-unquote Orthodox rabbis, whose conversion is acceptable for other Orthodox rabbis and whose is not? One step is to ask whether the converting rabbi is a member in good standing of the RCA. What? Because you can't be an Orthodox rabbi if you're not part of this modern Orthodox religious Zionist group that charges $500 a year to be a member. Yeah, I know plenty of really totally good, very firm rabbis who are not members of RCA. So maybe if you're dealing with an Orthodox rabbi, a modern Orthodox rabbi, you want to ask whether they're a member of the RCA. But the Haredi rabbis generally don't join the RCA. The Haredi rabbis join the Igud HaRabbanim, but there's a mafia of the RCA, and some others they'll join Young Israel Council of Rabbis and others. Not everyone joins the RCA. Although a rabbi's RCA membership is not in itself a guarantee of the Orthodox conversion acceptability, the reasons for that are beyond the scope of this article. Because he's shilling for them, a prospective Orthodox convert would do well to consider why the Orthodox rabbi is not in the RCA in the first place, and what that says about the prospective acceptability of the conversion, how it will impact the prospective converts' future generations. In other words, perhaps the rabbi is a member of an alternative rabbinical body. If so, how is that rabbinic body regarded? Reform and conservative rabbinates leave less confusionist regard because there is more uniformity centralized than in Orthodoxy. Basically, what Rabbi Fisher wants to do, his whole article is bringing everything from the secular world into the Jewish world, and so too, he's bringing the values of the Reform and conservative Jews into the Orthodox world, because there are other much better Orthodox groups than the RCA. There's the Igud HaRabbanim, which I'm a member of. There's, Young Israel Council of Rabbis. There's the Central Rabbinical Conference, the CRC. And the main reason why would someone join one or the others, really the ideology, meaning I'm not going to join the RCA because I'm not Zionist. And so why should I join the RCA, which is a Zionist organization, when I can join Igud HaRabbanim, which is neutral as far as Zionism, and or I could join Achdus HaRabbanim, which is anti-Zionist. A little weiter. In other words, perhaps the rabbi is on some grand personal crusade that makes RCA membership unimportant to him. Indeed, perhaps his personal philosophic crusade has even made him ineligible for RCA membership in the first place, and perhaps even he is on some kind of pioneering life quest to establish his own philosophy of what Orthodox Judaism should be. All of that is fine and noble for him, but a prospective Orthodox convert deserves and must demand full disclosure, because perhaps she is not a pioneer as the rabbi is, and perhaps all she wants is for Orthodox conversion to be accepted universally here in Israel, and to be accepted universally for all time, for her and for future progeny. Thus, if she is aboard the same crusade as her rabbi is, excellent. But if not, she deserves full disclosure. All right, I can't argue with that. And I give full disclosure that, maybe different groups might recognize, might not. And, and I have rabbis who I can bring people to if they want it more recognized, less recognized. So then, I'm just want to this up. Within the RCA, a set of conversion standards was adopted 10 years ago in consultation with the Chief Rabbin of Israel to maximize the prospective converts' acceptability worldwide for this generation, for children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, future generations, whether outside or in Israel, under those centralized standards known in the RCA as GPS, Geirut policies and standards. Even highly respected RCA rabbis do not themselves do conversions, but instead sponsor the conversions that are overseen by established GPS conversion courts throughout the United States. Yeah, like Barry Freundel, who was taking naked pictures of his potential converts and telling them to do practice dunks so he could get more pictures, and now he's sitting in prison where he deserves to be. And this same Barry Freundel turned away a girl who was, I guess he didn't think she was pretty enough for him, I don't know, but to be honest, I think that might have something to do with it, but she was most likely 99% that she's Jewish already, and she just needed Ger L'Chumrah. And he refused to do it in the end because she said that she was anti-Zionist, and he said that is not a political. She asked, does politics matter when it comes to conversion? He said, no, you could be a Republican or a Democrat. Freundel lived in D.C. And she said, but could I be a Satmar? And he said, no, that's a religious issue and not a political one, and that's not acceptable. That's what she said. I don't know why she didn't go to a Hamish Bezdin then, instead of the guy with the big chup who's, arrogant and taking pictures of people against their will. If what he wants to do between him and God, that's fine with willing partners, but to go and take pictures of innocent people who are who don't want that to happen, and that's who the RCA is. But more than that, he says that it will maximize but not guarantee, because the fact of the matter is, he says, under the conform standards, the GPS conversion accepted throughout the U.S. and by Israeli chief rabbinate, and it's not true, because like I said in previous video, there was a young woman who, because she had an affair with a famous rabbi, and she went through a GPS conversion through the RCA with the biggest modern Orthodox rabbis, biggest names, and they refused to give her paperwork, and they told her she had to start the process again, 2-year process, when she was totally frum and fine, and just because they didn't want to embarrass this famous rabbi. So, and I don't want to embarrass him either. I'm not going to name names. He's someone who, outside of, this indiscretion, I enjoy listening to, and I have a certain level of respect for, even though I disagree with him on certain things. And I've known him, for years. I first encountered him when I was in high school, but he wasn't one of my teachers in high school. But at the same time, there's a growing phenomenon of crusading rabbis who fly around the country, even into South America, telling prospective converts they are doing quote-unquote Orthodox conversions. In a great many of these situations, these conversions are in fact not recognized by mainstream Orthodox rabbis anywhere in the world, not in Israel, not in America, and the children, grandchildren of those converts will find that mainstream normative traditional Jewish families will not marry them unless they undergo complete conversions all over again. But it doesn't have to be 2 years. They could just dunk in the mikveh and be kosher if they want to be on some list. They don't have to go through a 2-year process. That's one. And second of all, if they're living in South America, who cares? They're not moving somewhere else. I mean, the biggest rishus, and what one rabbi who I'm close with, one of my rebbeim, says, there'll be a din v'cheshbon that all of these Zionist rabbis have to answer to when they're convincing people they should move to Israel. because I'm one of those crusading rabbis who went to South America, and I did totally kosher Orthodox conversions for a whole community in Ecuador. And they were very frum, fine, good people. And the Tzionim brainwashed this one girl. Oh, the conversion that Rabbi Kolakowski did is not good enough. You have to go to Israel and do another conversion with the Rabbanut. And she got killed in a terror attack. And she would still be alive today if it wasn't for the Zionists brainwashing her about this nonsense that comes from Cook's nonsense that, oh, Cook wrote, oh, in South America it's not good enough. If they're really sincere, they're going to go to Israel. What kind of nonsense is that? Torah lo b'shamayim hi v'lo me'ever hayam. You don't have to go to another country to be Jewish. You can be Jewish here. Beficha b'volcha lasoso. She was frum and good and ehrlich, and the Tzionim had to brainwash her and kill her. The blood is not only on the hands of the Arab terrorists who killed her, but on the Tzionim who told her she should go to a dangerous country like that when she was perfectly fine and happy in Ecuador. And they have to give a din v'cheshbon. Why? This young girl is dead now because of these nonsense conversion nonsense that has nothing to do with Shulchan Aruch, nothing to do with anything. So anyway, yes, I admit that, if I'm going to do a conversion somewhere in South America, maybe it'll be recognized, maybe it won't. Although I could have gotten a letter that they would have gotten recognized if they wanted to. They have to ask for it. But don't give me this nonsense about the Rabbanut in Israel. The same Cook who's responsible for the massacres in Hebron in 1929 with turning the Kaisel into a political issue. Jews were living in peace in Hebron for hundreds of years, and Cook had to come along and say "HaKaisel Shalom, HaKaisel Echad," and dozens of yeshiva boys got killed in Hebron because of his political nonsense. Don't give me this. So the tragedy is not whether or not the Tzionim are going to recognize someone's conversion. The tragedy is people who are dead now because of this nonsense, and people who can rightfully put #MeToo because of the RCA. So don't give me this all high and mighty, holier than thou RCA crap. And I recognize the conversion done by the RCA, whether or not they give papers. I was Masarka, I don't care. They did a good, fine, kosher conversion. I don't have a problem with it. I'll be Masarka Kedushin. And I was. Even they didn't give papers, because they had an email saying, all right, Mazel Tov, we finished the conversion yesterday. The same thing now. Hamish, good people are being tortured because of nonsense of the RCA and garbage like that. So don't give it to me. All right, thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe.